Well, welcome back to our episode of Rolling the Bottom. We're here to break down the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. I gotta say, man, I didn't know what to expect. It was on a Monday, it got rained out from Sunday, but my gosh, the crowd was massive. It was probably close to 100,000 people. You couldn't even tell that someone left. The intensity, the energy, it felt like it was a Daytona 500. It didn't feel like a Monday race. The Rock was still there. He gave those famous gentlemen start your engines. There was a lot of build-up for this race. I didn't feel like it was definitely not lost from the rain delay. But if we break down this race to the best of my freaking ability, stage one, the first 5 laps were pretty chill, but then we had a wreck. And it was pretty much involved with Brad giving John Arnett a tap. That got John Arnett loose. He collected Harrison Burton, Austin Dillon, Carson Hocevar got in there, and also Jimmy Johnson got collected, and that also ruined Jimmy Johnson Day. He was a no-show in this race due to this. I guess some suspension messed up his wheel. You could tell it was not lined up well. So that race really ruined his whole opportunity to really do anything. Because I know Jimmy Johnson, his car was fast enough that he would have had a shot to win this race, or contend for it at least. But also, I found that in this first stage, it was really more of a fuel-saving type race. There was one time where the pack was going they were doing like 51-second lap times, and AJ Allmendinger by himself was doing 49-second laps, and so like a second and a half faster, and he's going by himself. One car was going faster than 30 other cars in the pack, so that was pretty freaking crazy. Every time there was a pit cycle, it was really exciting though, because there would be some groups that would come in and they would get a lot more spread out, and then there would be some groups that would come in and stay together, and that's where you saw the groups that were able to stay together coming back on to the track were able to really click off and pass guys fast that were coming on the track. So that was also really exciting to watch those cars maneuver. We did see some three-wide racing, which did lead to our first caution on lap 6. But then after that, it was really tame 2x2, and really we didn't see much of anything racy until the end of stage 2. The Chevys were really good job after the pit cycle. They were really able to form a line. It was the Hendrick cars, the RCR cars, and the Trackhouse cars, and that's really that led to Chase Elliott winning stage 1, making some good passes, maneuvering his way, and getting himself to the front. So that was also really cool to see him, finally get a stage 1 winning something, because he didn't win anything last year. And I think that was his only stage win or anything. That was his only thing. I think that's the first time he's won anything since 2022. So that was great. And then going to stage 2, I felt like we saw a little more intensity. We saw a lot more 3x3 racing. I felt like fuel saving it was still talked about, but it wasn't as, that wasn't like the main goal. Everything was always about saving fuel, but it wasn't like we weren't seeing what we saw. We weren't seeing the pack being slower than, one car. And also I thought it was like a chess match. There'd be some cars up front that were saving, and then the back cars were able to save more because they weren't up front. So it was almost like the front cars were helping the cars in the back. So then there'd be times when the front cars realized that we got to stop helping these cars in the back. So we're going to push the issue, and that also would make the back cars push it because they didn't want to lose the draft. So there was a lot of like chess matches, really interesting. It was kind of cool. Like, look, I don't like the whole fuel saving thing, but it does make it a bit interesting and chaotic and really intriguing, in my opinion. And that's where I felt like we saw the Fords up there. We saw Joey, Ryan Blaney, and Michael McDowell. He must have had a cylinder out or something, because he was really well off the pace. We saw Ty Gillen up there in stage 2. He was leading some laps. So we saw Christopher Bell, the Toyota, Danny Hamlin. So we saw a mix of drivers. All day we saw a mix of drivers taking the lead, not taking the lead. And that's where we led into the Chevys and Fords battling. But that's where we led into Ryan Blaney making some incredible moves on his teammate Austin Cindric to win stage 2. And then they go through their pit cycle, and then we go into the final stage 3, and that's where I felt like the intensity picked up, the aggressiveness picked up. It should. It's the final stage. There's going to be one more pit cycle, and it was 3x3 racing, but the 3x3 racing was a lot more tighter, way more tight. There wasn't as much space they were giving each other. That's where I felt like we saw Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin get up there, and then coming to our last pit cycle, we saw the Fords make a line a big, it was only 4 or 5 Fords bottom of the track, but then that set them up for when they came down pit road. It was like Brad, Joey, Blaney. They were able to go down, get their pit stops, but then stay really, really well together, stay close to each other, and that's what allowed them. So when other people were making their pit stops and they were getting stringed out, the Fords were able to clip off and take spots, and they were able to. It was so fun watching them maneuver their way around the drafts, zigzagging across, using the draft from undercars to get up to the front, and that's really what allowed us to set them up for near the end of this race, where we saw Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski. The Chevys did a good job getting on and off pit road, like I said, but then the intensity picked up, and since that lap 6 wreck, lap 5 wreck, there was no other cautions besides the stage brakes. But that was about to happen as the pack picked up, the intensity picked up, the energy picked up. We saw the big one, the one that you expect, or there's always a 50-50 chance of happening in every race, every super speedway race. It happened. Looked like Alex Bowman gave his teammate William Byron a offsetting push. William Byron hit Brad hit Joey. Then in the kaboom, shebang, the massive wreck took out half the field, like 25 cars, and that just tore up everyone. It really stinks because those cars, the people up front, Brad, Joey, and Ross was also throwing some massive blocks right before that wreck too, so he was keeping the guy behind him, which was really impressive, but it just took out a bunch of contenders. And the Chevrolets, it wasn't a great look for, the Chevys, the Hendrick camp, because they were kind of the reason it happened. But then that also allowed to cycle, and that's what allowed them to get to the front with Ross and the Chevrolets, and we came down to with a restart. And I don't remember exactly how all the restart played out, but I knew how it played out coming to the white. I believe William Byron was leading. Ross had a run on William. At the same time, Corey Joey got into Cindric, and that got Cindric loose. He came up the track, clipped Ross as Ross was making a pass for the win for the Daytona 500. Ross and Cindric get together, and they slide down the track. And at the moment, what NASCAR was saying, their goal was to hopefully those two cars slide down the track in the grass and stay out of trouble, that the race was going to continue. But they ended up sliding on back on the grass, back up to the track, collecting a bunch of cars. And at the same moment that's happening, Alex Bowman is making a move. William Byron crossed the finish line, coming to white, but then Alex Bowman had a run on William. And at first, I thought with the replays they were showing, they only showed an onboard video of Alex Bowman passing William Byron right when the yellow caution light came on, but it wasn't a great view. And then NASCAR posted an aerial view of, looked like William Byron was still ahead of Alex Bowman when the caution flag came out. It was very weird and controversial. It kind of killed the finish. William Byron came out winner. He won the Daytona 500. This was the 40th anniversary. This is the 40th anniversary season for Hendrick Motorsports, and they win the biggest race in their 40th anniversary season. It was massive. I think William Byron got some boos after he won the race. He got mostly cheers with some boos. It's probably because he kind of was the reason that big wreck happened. Also, William Byron is a lot more corporate, like a lot more professional. And that's also one reason I feel like he gets hate. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Hendrick. I just think even their drivers are just boring. They're just not as exciting to be around. Like, they're not as exciting as a Kyle Busch, a Denny Hamlin type people. They just don't have, they're just very professional. I mean, that's just the way Hendrick wants them. It's fine with me. I just wish they would see a little more of that. But William Byron took home the victory. But I'm telling you, this race was really, really good. It really, really was an incredible race, exciting race, man. So I think this is the best next gen race we've seen so far with this car. It just kills. The finish really killed the race. I felt like I think the past 4 or 3 500s besides the 2022 500. I know the 2021 finished under caution. 2023 did, and now 2024. It just kind of kills the end of this race. I don't know if they should just make a new rule where you have to finish on the green to, make it official. But that stinks. But all it was incredible, man. I'm going to go to this race next year. I need to go to this race next year. The Fox broadcast was a little iffy for me. They had some bad placement with commercials. They had this Wendy commercials about the freaking biggie bag. I mean, the biggie bag's great and all, but it was just like 35 laps to go or something, and they're telling me about the biggie bag. And it's 3x3 racing. I want to watch the freaking NASCAR race. I don't give a frick about your biggie bag. And he also had like a little halftime show with Dude Perfect. promoting the Samsung Galaxy whatever phone, which I guess was cool to do perfect, but it's just like, okay, whatever. So there's also some bad things in bad places with commercials. Sometimes I feel like the length of racing they were showing in between commercials was a little too short at times. And that's what it is with Fox. I felt like there was times when they missed wrecks or stuff. I don't know. It was, I think Kevin Hart did a great job. I thought Mick Joy had a little more energy when big moments were happening in the race. Clint Boyer. They showed a lot of good onboard cameras, onboard footage of these drivers after the big one wreck. Like, it looked like Ryan Blaney messed up his wrist. You could see the eye expression with these drivers when they're about to hit, another car, and you just could see the intensity and the violence that these drivers are in when they're in these wrecks. But if we go in and look at the top 40 finishers, I'm going to throw the entire list up there. The top 40 finishers, winning by against the Dunn, wins in Daytona 500. Alex Bowman second, came out really short there. Christopher Bell finished third. He led like 22 laps. He had a quiet race, but really good finish for him. Corey Joy in the Chili's car comes home fourth. Bubba Wallace coming home fifth. My gosh. I'm not even sure how many top 5 finishes that is for the 500. He's come so close. Great run for him. AJ Allmendinger good. John Check 7th. Eric Jones 8th. Noah Gragson 9th. Great run for him in his first race with SHR. Kyle Larson 11th. Kyle Busch 12th, man. Kyle Busch had a great race going for him, man. But his pit crew was letting him down. He had to keep, fighting his way to the front every time. Every time his pit crew was making mistakes. But still a really good finish for him. Came in one piece. So that was good for him. Martin Truex Jr. finishing 15th. Ty Gibbs finishing 17th. Chris Buescher finishing 18th. Danny Hamlin 19th. Dana Rankin top 20. A lot of these cars and drivers' days were ruined after that big one. Really killed like where these guys were running. Even Brad Keselowski had a great position, chance to win this race, finishing 33rd. Sergio Joey Logano finishing 32nd. But all in all, this race was exciting. I said it again. I thought it was one of the best next-gen race we've seen. If you put it on the Rolly gauge, that's what I'm calling my thing. My rating is the Rolly gauge. I'm going to go a 9. I'm going to go a 9 flat on this. I thought this race was good. It was incredible. Like I already said, one of the best races I've seen. One of the best Daytona 500s ever, I think. But I do think the finish kind of killed the ending of this race. And also, I felt like when it came to the Fox broadcast, even though that's not a part of the race, I just think when it comes to overall what the fans are viewing at home, I think that has a big deal whether or not you enjoyed it or not. I think the Fox kind of killed it too. Well, this is a great Daytona 500. Great way to kick off the season. That'll do it for today's episode. Stay tuned to more NASCAR content. Let me know what you think about all the racing. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And I'll see you next one. Bye, y'all.